getting poor performance of your wireless internet in your home, the first thing that you should look at, if you've done most of the right setup and everything, then I'm going to go over that in a few minutes, but is to look at your dBm, which is your decibels per milliwatts. Okay, so think of it like if we were in a room together, me and you, one-on-one, having a conversation, and there was no background noise. That's what a minus 30 dBm means. It means that there's no noise, nothing interfering with the information being sent to your device, or vice versa. Okay? If we started getting a little noise in the room, like other people in the room talking, or a little bit low background music, we'd still, as long as we can still hear each other clearly and we captured every piece of information in our conversation, and we're at minus 50, we're still very good, super good, okay? Now, if the noise starts to get a little louder, and we're now hitting minus 60 or higher, okay, now we're going to start to lose some information, or things are going to slow down, okay? And that's where you hear things about losing packets, or you see things starting to freeze. And as you get close to minus 70, as we get lower and lower in decibel levels, think about it, then we don't really have a good signal at all. And 90 is completely, we're dead in the water. Now, I would say if you're in your 60s, you can still browse browse the internet, and you can check email, and that should work okay, and send email. But if you're trying to stream video, you're better off being 60 or below to have to have good performance on video. Okay, so you think of 90, you're at a loud rock concert and you can't even hear each other talk. It just doesn't work. Okay, so this is dBm. So how do you check your dBm? Well, if you're on a PC on your home computer, you can go to the Microsoft Store and for free download Wi-Fi Analyzer. And this is a really cool program. Basically it's telling me I'm currently at minus 51 dBm. By the way, our network is called Chowie, and it's telling me I'm on channel 40. We're going to talk about channels in a minute. Okay, and if I click Analyze, it's kind of telling me, because I'm in a 5 gigahertz network, and don't worry, I'll explain to you what that means too in a few minutes. Okay, you can see that I'm below 60, so I'm very good for streaming. If I was right next to the router, I'd be at minus 30. All right, if I was downstairs, but I'm on the second level, and I have a mesh network, which I'm going to explain to you. I know, but if I click networks, I can see everything around me. Okay. All the different networks, neighbors, channels, everything, and what those dBms are, okay, of everything around me, and even things on my network to connect to different networks if I have more than one set up. Now, that it happens to be the computer, the PC. Okay, if you have a mobile device and you want to walk around and check your dBms, and this is how you can find dead spots. So if you I walk into my bonus room on the second floor, and if I go to the corner of that room, before it used to say minus 70, and no wonder I couldn't really do it much with my iPhone in that part of the house. All right, so there's a utility called Airport Utility you can download from the iOS store. I don't know about Android, because I don't have an Android device. It's free, and it's really designed for a airport router from Apple, but we don't have a router, but it still has a Wi-Fi scan utility built in. But you need to go to settings first, and you need to make sure you check, if you click on settings and you go to the airport utility, on the bottom you turn on Wi-Fi scanner, because the default it's off when you first download it. And now, when I go to open up my Wi-Fi, my airport utility, right here, all I do is I hit the scan button, Wi-Fi scan, and I hit, after I hit Wi-Fi scan, I hit the scan at the top, And now it's checking all the same thing that it was on the PC. It's telling me all of the DBMs, the times. It's telling me about all my neighbors, the channels they're on. Okay, and you can see here, I'm currently at minus 44. I was around minus 50, 45 on the PC, and I'm still on the second floor, and it's minus 45. That's really good. Again, if I was right next to the router downstairs near the modem, I might be at minus 30. Okay, but the reason I have such good DBMs upstairs is because of my mesh network. So I'm excited. I'm going to tell you what the mesh network is. So DBMs are very important. You walk around the house and you can find your dead spots, and if you see that your network, if that minus 45 changes to 60, then it's still okay. It goes to 70, then it's starting to get bad. And 80 and 90 is unusable. But you want to be below 60, and then you can stream video and do other things, and that means you have a low enough noise and a strong enough signal to be able to do those types of things. So when you go to set up your network, or your internet provider sets up your network for you and your router, they usually offer two types of networks to connect to, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So let me explain to you what the difference is and what you should do. Now, a 2.4 gigahertz band is a very common radio band. But what's bad about it is it's very noisy, because a lot of devices use that kind of band. Microwave ovens, Bluetooth, car alarms, home automation, they all share the band. But the good thing about the band is the 2.4 gigahertz, that it does travel further through more objects than other Wi-Fi bands. Okay, so you get more stable distance as on 2.4 gigahertz. But again, you get all this interference and noise because it's very popular and it's being used by everything and everybody. Okay, so it's recommended that when you connect your computers, your mobile devices, you should connect it to 5 gigahertz band. Okay, so that's the one that's preferred for your home Wi-Fi networks. Whether it's, they say, well, for smaller homes or dense environments like apartments in crowded cities, it's ideal because you're not traveling as far. All right, but we're going to tell you how you can solve that in a big house. You should always connect to 5 gigahertz bands. So most routers and access points do optimize 5 gigahertz bands for peak speeds over stability and range. Okay, so so that's a negative. That's where 2.4 is superior. So so you're gonna try to maximize and get as fast speed as you can, but you don't get a stable connection and you don't get as much distance. Now, something that you hear or you see or you may read about are things called channels, and these are subbands. All right, and basically channels is where the information. Think of it as a pipe, okay, and the wider the pipe, the more information you can get through. So the most common channels are 20 megahertz channels, throughputs. Okay, there are 40 and 80 and even wider channels. But the point is, the wider the pipe, the more chance there could be interference. So you should focus on the 20 megahertz channels, and that's probably going to be the default anyway. So you don't really need to worry about it. Okay. A smart router, if there's instability, then you may see it switch to a different channel. So in that analyzer that I had opened before on the airport utility on my iPhone and on the Wi-Fi analyzer, I saw my network listed twice, channel 6 and channel 40. Okay, and basically it's looking at which channel has the least amount of noise on it, and it tries to automatically switch you to the better channel. Now, here's the negative about channels. Okay, your neighbors are using the same channels too. Now, another thing about 2.4 gigahertz bands and why you don't want to use them, they're divided into 11 channels. And 5 gigahertz, you have up to 45 channels. So again, you have less of a chance with neighbors and other devices using the 5 gigahertz. And if they were using the 5 gigahertz, there's 45 channels to choose from, where there's only 11 on 2.4. So in that analyzer, you can see what channels your neighbors are on, and you want to focus on the channels. Now, if you're in such a situation where you can't get the automatic channeling is not working for you, you can set it to manual, and it's recommended you pick 1, 6, or 11 because they're the least used. So if you want to stay on 1, 6, or 11, then you're going to have the least amount of interference. But in most cases, with the right device, you should be on a solid channel.